We are about to enter the new region with just a patch away, and now that we already have all the Rinascita characters, it's time we analyze who are honestly the best units in the entire game, as things have changed drastically recently. We will start from the 1.x characters to version 2.8. Some important notes: this is not a damage-based tier list. It's going to count the overall value of each character, prioritizing different aspects like damage per second, team synergies with and without their best-in-slot supports, especially for 2.x DPS like Zanhi, Phoebe, Cartathea, Siakana, and Polworth currently. Also, we will form a single tier list in the end after forming specific tier lists for peer ranking points of view for new players. Okay, starting with version 1.x On-Field DPS. Let's start with Jinshi. She is one of the premium DPS launched in 1.x and did stay as the best DPS in the game for a very long period of time. But as said, with the introduction of new DPS units, her pure damage number is currently lower than new DPS units, though she can still clear content easily for you. She is one of the easiest units to play, with some of the simplest combos in the game. She also gains extra resistance while in airborne, which often results in bosses and monsters missing you even without the need to dodge. Her major source of damage comes from her elemental skill, and she synergizes extremely well with coordinated attackers. Coming to disadvantages, as said, she does slightly fall behind in pure damage dealing compared to new units, and often relies on coordinate attack buffers. So she will be B tier. Before jumping to other DPS, if you want the cheapest top-ups, check out LootBar. They're offering extra discounts for version 2.7 top-ups up to 21% cheaper than in-game, linked at the top of the description. They also have excellent Trustpilot reviews, and it's one of the safest ways to recharge in Wuthering Waves. Plus, new users get an additional 10% off just for signing up. Let's talk about other DPS. Jian and Camellia are both, no doubt, two of the best F2P DPS in the game, thanks to units like Mortify and Sanhua. Jian especially got a huge jump in the DPS tier list with the release of Uno, holding one of the strongest teams in the game. If I had to rank them, I would actually put Jian over Jinshi, considering his team options, and Camellia with Jinshi. We also have to keep in mind both Jian and Camellia are currently not the best in slot DPS for their respective elements, even after being F2P friendly. Okay, coming to Electro, I would put Calcaro at the bottom. Being one of the most inconsistent characters with close to no AoE, he is nowhere close to current meta DPS.
Then Xiang Li Yao, who was considered to be the best Electro DPS months before, now will be ranked in C tier as his damage is not competitive to current DPS, and you have to master his combo, which is not worth investing in currently. Coming to Encore, I will still keep her a little above Xiang Liao, not because she offers more damage, but because she is easier to play, as she can also act as a quick swap unit and provide insane resonance energy for whole teams. Then we have Ling Yang, again similar to Calchero, has multiple issues, and most importantly, the damage is not worth investing in. Coming to fresh units, Carlotta is not only the strongest Glacio DPS, but one of the most used DPS. What makes her so broken is how easy to play she is. As a pistol user, she provides good range, and the damage number is good enough to clear most endgame content. She is no doubt A tier. The only thing that pulls her down is her single target-based kit.
Coming to Zanhi, she is currently the best Spectro DPS with insane damage potential, easily top 5 DPS. But there are some things that make her not a must-pull. How expensive she is. Even after dealing both heavy attack and Spectro Frazzle damage, she relies heavily on Phoebe to get anywhere close to her potential. She also has one of the most complex kits in the game, which might not be recommended to more casual players, and other issues like distance cover, especially against enemies with fast movements. So these are the reasons she will be A tier, even after dealing damage close to some of the meta DPS.
Coming to Cartathea, currently one of the best DPS in the game. She is easy to play, with simple rotations, crowd control abilities, and gains resistance to interruption, removing lots of dodging. But she still has some problems. You always prefer to run her along Siakana, and she does lose a lot of damage without her. Also, being an HP scaler, she doesn't have access to buffs like Moonlight Cloud or general attack buffing units. But her damage is too high currently, which ignores these issues, so she is S tier. Now coming to Augusta, no doubt the best DPS for me. You can argue Cartathea teams have higher damage, but from overall gameplay point of view, she is insane. With massive damage, she also has insane F2P options, unlike Cartathea, without losing much damage. And she also provides a shield, and can even be used in dual DPS setups. She is currently the best DPS in the game.
Then we have Galbrina, who will also be S tier for me. She currently has the strongest teams with Frolova and Xiwan, and can be played in mono fusion setups with Lupa. Both of the setups are extremely strong, clearing most of the current endgame content. Talking about pure damage, she is as good as Cartathea and Augusta, especially when you pair her with Xiwan, and one of the few units who can actually maximize Frolova as an off-field damage dealer without compromising on-field damage. So this is my current on-field DPS tier list.
Okay, now coming to hybrid characters. Starting with standard units. Jiansen, straight up D tier. Even after getting multiple updates with new echo sets and team options, her damage and support utility is just not competitive to invest in. Then we have Changli, one of the most versatile units in the entire game. Thanks to her playstyle, she is currently one of the best options in mono fusion and can be paired with any liberation damage dealer thanks to her outro and quick swap capability, making her insanely flexible. She's A tier. Then we have Yinlin. Again, acts as sub-DPS with a good outro, but she is currently power crept in all her teams by Zeiji and Jinshi teams, Yuno in Augusta teams, and her personal damage is also not competitive. So she is not worth pulling honestly. C tier. Coming to Zeiji. Again, she has a good outro and is best in slot for units like Jinshi and Carlotta with smooth, easy-to-achieve rotations. She is definitely a good unit and worth investing, especially if you have units like Jinshi and Carlotta. Coming to Roshia. She is again very good in her specific task, and best in slot for Camellia, and can be played alongside Frolova. Things that pull her down is straight up Sanhua, who offers similar buffs and damage being a 4-star. And Roshia is not a unit who is a must-pull for any DPS like Zeiji is for Carlotta, so she is B tier. Then we have Phoebe. She is interesting as she has the most amount of DPS potential compared to current hybrid units we covered, which is a huge plus point, and she is best in slot support for Spectrofrazzle or for Zanny. She is honestly a must-pull character if you have Zanny. At the same time, it's also her biggest disadvantage, as she is only for teams around Spectrofrazzle, and if you do not have a unit with Spectrofrazzle, she is not worth going for unless you play her as main DPS, which you can. So, important points. I have not put units like Phoebe and Brant in the on-field tier list, as this would be unfair for them, especially for units like Brant, who as an on-field DPS does not perform anywhere close to top units, but as an overall unit, his value is insane, and you can play him multiple ways, which is best suited as hybrid. Okay, so for me, Phoebe would be A tier. Then we have Contarella. She is no doubt one of the most valuable characters in the entire game, has insane universal outro, making her a good fit in any Havoc teams, and even with characters like Jinshi and Carlotta. And her value even rises higher with the release of Frolova and Law of Harmony. She is no doubt broken, so S tier for me. Okay, now to another broken unit, at least for me, the best fusion character in the game, Brant. He can be your healer, buffer, and even main DPS. What makes him so broken is how good he is with almost any fusion unit, and especially in quick swap teams, he offers massive damage in a very short period of time, and even works with characters like Jinshi and Carlotta due to his flexibility as a buffer and damage dealer, providing dual DPS options. Things that go against him, he requires a lot of investment on both his echo set and weapon options. Even if you can play him with an F2P weapon, his damage difference is huge when you have his signature. But if you ask me, it's worth it even now to invest in him, as he is just too good and provides multiple options. You can even just play him as a buffer, and he still works. Now coming to another fusion unit, Lupa. She is the core of any monofusion teams, and if you want to play monofusion, Lupa is a must, holding value higher than both Brant and Changli. She works with any fusion DPS, including Changli, Encore, Brant, and even Galbrina. She is a must-pull for fusion teams, but at the same time, she is restricted to fusion only. Her value without fusion teams is super less compared to Changli and Brant, who can be played in different setups, so she is A tier for me. Coming to another unit who is similar, but for arrow erosion, Siakana.
She is the best-in-slot arrow erosion support and a must for Charcater. Talking about her value without Charcater, you can play her as main DPS or alongside Yuno or even Gion, and she is still enough to clear endgame content. But I will not recommend pulling her as a DPS as you have way better options, and even being broken currently, her pull value is only if you have Charcater or really need arrow units. Without that, she is not recommended even after having good DPS potential. I will keep her in B tier, super close to A tier. Then we have Frolova, one of the most valuable characters in the game, or you can actually say she is the most valuable character in the game, especially after version 2.7 with the release of Galbrena and Chiyuan. Early leaks about Chisa, she's looking to be the most buffed unit recently. She deals insane damage, works as an off-field damage dealer, which lets you add an on-field damage dealer like Galbrena, and also works in almost any Havoc teams. She is a must-pull if you ask me. Then Yuno, best-in-slot unit for Gion and Augusta, also works with Siakana and Chiyuan in mono arrow setups. She is currently the best heavy attack buffer, making her a must-pull. She also works with Galbrena as she provides some heavy attack damage, and you can even run Yuno as an on-field main DPS and clear any top content in the game. If you ask me to choose her or Siakana, removing their best-in-slot DPS, just as solo carry, Yuno is preferred way higher thanks to universal buffs like heavy attack damage and more personal damage compared to Siakana. Then we have Chiyuan, currently best support for Galbrena and the only echo skill damage buffer in the game, but at the same time super restrictive, as his value as DPS or even support in any other teams is close to 0. Even with a universal buff up to 30% crit damage, he is not recommended in any other setup other than Echo Skill. So he is B tier for me, especially as there are currently limited Echo Skill damage dealers, and he also does work with Frolova when she is off-field, which is a huge damage loss. Obviously, Shorekeeper and Verena are currently the only pure supports in the game as 5-star. Both of them are super universal and must have in any account, which is a reason they are technically offered free. So yes, they are broken. Okay, now as we have made 2 tier lists, now let's make a tier list just for priority for new players who asked. Also, one important point, this will also focus on the future, and it's important for new players to get units who can serve them longer till they are actually able to clear endgame content. So for me, currently must-have units are Verena, Shorekeeper, Yuno, Augusta, Frolova. These are the best units in the game. I have added Yuno, which might not be well accepted, but according to me, she is one of the most valuable units right now, especially seeing how many heavy attack damage dealers we have, and also her personal damage is just too high to be ignored, making her a way better option than Mortefi. Then, second tier, I have Charcater, Galbrena, Brant, Cantarella as recommended characters. I know Charcater is shocking, but the reason I have her here is she is not splashable like Augusta and Frolova with multiple team options with insane FTP options. She needs Siakana. And for a player who does not have Siakana, I would say to skip her and invest in future arrow DPS who can be buffed by multiple units, especially those who use attack buffs. But as said, she is top 3 DPS and a good pull for sure. Then I have good options. This tier's units are those who are insane at their job, but are kind of restrictive, and not recommended especially for someone who's starting now. It's better if you invest in newer units rather than these. Then lower to this are actually the units who I say are not worth getting currently. I added Chiyuan here even after being a new unit, but currently he looks super restrictive and doesn't have much team options, and on top of that, his personal damage is too low compared to Siakana, who can actually be played as DPS even after being restricted to arrow erosion, which is not possible with Chiyuan. So yes, this is the full updated tier list. I hope it helped, and let me know your thoughts as I know it will vary a lot even after I tried my best. Thanks for your time. See you!